Adult bullying. Yes, it sounds strange, doesn't it? Almost a bit comical. Or at least difficult to take as seriously as bullying among children. Do you remember what it was like? How some classmates were excluded, how some were teased. Maybe you participated. Maybe you were a victim of teasing. Now you're a doctor, you're a nurse, a medical secretary, an orderly, a physiotherapist, but some people are still being shut out. According to surveys on well-being at work, 12% of your colleagues have experienced bullying. And a new research project at Copenhagen University Hospital shows that the human consequences of bullying in the workplace are just as serious as those in the schoolyard, and that many of the mechanisms are identical. Bullying has nothing to do with personality. It's not a question of personal strength or weakness, or that some people are natural bullies and some are natural victims. Bullying is a much more complex phenomenon, rooted in our universal need to be part of a community. Relationships at work are an important part of shaping and defining our identity. So if we're in doubt about whether we are well-liked as colleagues and whether others appreciate our contributions to shared tasks, we'll instinctively feel under threat. Feeling like an outsider has often been described as psychological torture and can make anyone fall apart. Access to the community at work can depend on whether you are able to participate and contribute to a certain behavior and way of communicating. "When do we start recruiting from mental institutions?" says a nurse to her colleagues after a phone call from another department. "Let's move the meeting half an hour so Susan can't come," whispers one secretary to another, who nods in agreement and replies, "Good idea. It's much easier when she's not there." "We're really scraping the bottom of the barrel today," says one orderly to another as a third one walks in. "Where do you want me to put the scans?" asks a nurse, and the doctor immediately replies, "On Facebook!" "What a mess she's made of it, huh?" says Peter, the consultant surgeon, to his medical assistant, and laughs as they walk into the operating theatre. Consultant surgeon Emily, who completed the first stage of the surgery, carefully explains the medical reasons behind the procedure she chose. When she subsequently turns around to take off her gloves, Peter says, loud enough for everyone to hear, "Well, I guess we better wait until Emily's left the room before criticizing her work." The teasing, ironic and at times harsh tone is usually considered an unalterable part of working at a hospital, a form of outlet in a daily life with constant responsibility for life and death. In the moment, the laughter and amusement can be liberating for some, while it seems shocking, harsh, and even offensive to others. "I was only kidding," Peter might say, and that is hard to argue with. It's almost impossible to express disapproval of the harsh tone when it's cloaked as humor. It's easy to get pegged as someone who can't stand the heat. The more people who contribute to the tone, the harder it will be to change. If you put your foot down and thereby break social and cultural norms, you risk being the next target. This could mean that we continue to behave and treat each other in a manner that we actually don't approve of. Having to be constantly ready to deal with teasing and derogatory remarks causes a mental overload that drains us of energy and impairs our personal and professional balance. Furthermore, it inhibits professional development because valuable experience and knowledge sharing are lost when employees refrain from asking questions out of fear of making a fool of themselves. Maintaining the illusion that doctors and nurses are all-knowing and infallible superhumans can ultimately have an adverse effect on the treatment of patients. When the foundation is fragile to begin with because of underlying insecurities, the tense atmosphere can easily spread, particularly in connection with changes, budget cuts, a new manager, new colleague, new technology, new tasks, and new work procedures. During times of transition, it's natural to wonder, will there be room for me in this new setting? Will I be good enough? Doubt can easily thrive in insecure communities with low tolerance. We feel at risk of being sidelined and losing our sense of affiliation to the workplace. It's human nature to do anything to avoid being left out and to defend ourselves against threats by forming new alliances in which we, as a group, can keep someone else out. There's no unambiguous pattern that determines who will typically be a bully and who will typically be the victim. Anyone can potentially end up in either situation. Therefore, anyone can also be a part of preventing it. This means that we all need to be aware of our automatic behavior. We humans say and do many things every day without even thinking about it. Once we become aware of how our words and actions affect our colleagues and relationships, we can begin to cultivate a more trusting, inclusive, and constructive environment. Prevention of bullying is a big responsibility for all of us. Fortunately, we're all used to dealing with responsibility.